Hello and welcome to the Plant Doctor. On this week's edition, what I want to do is start our monthly tour through the perennial garden. I have literally hundreds of perennials in my backyard. I have a few shrubs that act as screens and borders and accents and things of that nature, but 90 to 95% of the plants back here are perennials. So starting in May this month, it's May the 5th, so happy Cinco de Mayo. So we'll start this on May the 5th. My goal is to go the entire season. So we'll probably do a monthly update all the way through November to show you the progress of these perennials. We're starting to see some color. A lot of things have buds on them. So let's go take a look. This is one that has just started to bloom. This is Salvia Maynight. It is May, so hence the name Maynight. This is when it blooms. Right next to it over here, loaded, I mean loaded with buds. Let's move the dead iris out of the way, but you can see here, this is going to be Hemerocallis Stella d'Oro, or the Stella d'Oro daylily. So any day now, this is just going to be wide open. We've got a couple of purples here. There's another, a Salvia Maynight right there. So if you know anything about stellas, they're yellow. So we're going to have yellows and purples playing off each other. Just behind them here, this is BlackEyed Susan. And this whole, around this chimenea area here, all of this is BlackEyed Susan. These are more yellow flowers. This is Pervaskia, or Russian sage. Just a great shrub. I love the texture of this once it gets up and going. It's a very fine texture. Has really nice purple flowers. So here again, as our Salvia Maynight or Stella d'Oros, they begin to play out a little bit. They fade. Coming in next, we'll have our Rudbeckias, our Pervaskia, and then butterfly bush. This also has a purple flower. So as the purples and yellows fade here, we'll have purples and yellows popping up here. Over on the other side, I have Leotrist that are starting to pop up. I recently did a video on Leotrist, so you can check that out, how to plant these and how to care for these. This is actually my first year to do Leotrist. So these will be white and purple. I got a white and purple mix. So here again, they'll play off these Rudbeckias really well. And guys, we had a ton, and when I say a ton, I mean a ton of rain. We had 6 inches of rain yesterday, and so my potting mix and my pine bark mulch that I've used to do my annual beds was actually out here in the grass. You can see I've got a little pile, so I got to clean up here. The annuals actually washed up. That's how hard it rained. So I had to kind of replace these. It's kind of a mess right here. I'm in the process of cleaning that up. These are yarrows or stone crops. I love this chartreuse color here. They'll stay like this all winter. So these will not die back. They'll stay like this all winter. All right, so we have more salvia here that aren't up. This is verbena. This is another perennial, a purple perennial. And back behind it, I have planted some, these are brand new. These are Rudbeckias. All I did was literally transplant some from here and move them here, because the goal here, I'm going to back up so you can see, is for the left side and the right side to more or less mirror each other. And that's what I started this season. So I started transplanting some of these from the left side over here to the right side, just to try to achieve some balance for these stepping stones going to the patio here. Let's go to the back area and we'll take a look at some hosta. So I just want to get an overall view of what's going on here before I go into specifics. But basically I have a shade line, so south is due that way towards that house. So the shade comes back towards us. And so I put this nice sitting bitch in a year ago for Mother's Day. Put this in for my wife, a little, some stairs and a little patio paver area to put the bench on, and then we have it surrounded by oak leaf holly. Down below we have Francis William Hosta and some astilbes. Over on the other side I believe this is area marginata. But then we have another Francis Williams and some more Stilbeys in here as well. And I've picked up some new hostas this year. Unfortunately, I had an animal decided that it wanted to have lunch or breakfast here, and got this hosta a little bit as it was coming up. I've got some of them labeled. So this is, I know it doesn't look like much now, and I'm going to have to move it eventually, but that's the beauty of perennials. When they die back, we can move them. This is Big Daddy. All right, so Big Daddy hosta gets really big. It can get about 3 foot tall and maybe 5 to 6 foot around. We're going to go on the other side of this little walking trail here. So I've got a path through the Hosta Garden that goes to this swing. I have a daughter that her friends live back over here in this back neighborhood, and this is their path to go back and forth to play with each other. All right, so just tons of different hostas here, guys. I've got some in substance. There's a some in substance right there. That's a brand new one. There's another brand new some in substance mixed in with area marginata. We have Francis Williams. If I'm not mistaken, this would be another Big Daddy. Yeah, that's Big Daddy. And then I have some ferns in and around this St. Francis statue. So the story behind the story behind St. Francis is this. This is the patron saint of ecology and nature, and this was in my grandparents' yard, kind of tucked away in a corner, not being used. And my grandmother has since passed, and since my grandfather didn't have it on display, I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I take that, and I'm going to make a place for it in my garden? And he said yes. So brought it home. My wife cleaned it up for me. It had some moss and some mildew and stuff growing on it, but now St. Francis has a permanent home in my perennial garden here in the back. These are Pride of Mobile azaleas, and these will serve as a hedge one day, but I'm going to have to be very patient because azaleas do not grow really fast. They're a moderate grower at best. As you can see behind me here, this neighborhood, when I moved in, none of those houses were there. So this neighborhood is getting developed. My goal is to screen that lot off from my lot. And I'm going to do that hopefully with azaleas. If not, I'll come in with some other taller plant. But this is Pride of Mobile. You can see we're just past the peak. Maybe 2 weeks ago, these were nothing but pink flowers. And now they're really starting to fall off and fade. But they do make a nice hedge. We have more hostas here, and that's my goal. So my goal here, this is year 3 of this Hosta Garden, and my goal is to have it to where you see no pine straw. And I know that's ambitious, but that's the goal. I'm going to keep dividing these out year after year until we accomplish that. And I think that's real pretty going back across that way. This is by the way, this is a dogwood. This is Cornus Florida here, and it plays nice with everything else, so it'll flower about the time the hostas start to emerge. It looks really pretty with the azaleas. It all blooms at the same time, so this is a very nice little shade border that we have going. Let's go over and look at the daylilies. I have a little daylily garden I want to show you. It doesn't look like much now, but I would say here in about another 30 to 60 days, most of this will be covered in vegetation and blooms. I need to get up in here and freshen up the pine straw a little bit, but all of these are tetraploid daylilies, okay? Yes, meaning 4 sets of chromosomes, tetra as in 4. And they are just beautiful, marvelous plants when they're in bloom. I do have a few over here that have scapes, so we'll go take a look. I have some baby ones coming up here that I've marked. I've crossbred some to see what we get. This one has a scape. This is Molokai. This one has a scape. This is also Molokai, as in the island name for Hawaii. I need to get in here and clean a little weeds up underneath this one that has several scapes. But we have a lot that I'd say here in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll start seeing some color. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope that in that video you got a little bit of educational content out of that will help you in your perennial garden, because at the end of the day, doing these videos, that's kind of what it's all about, is me trying to help you in your endeavors in your gardening and making your home a more pleasant place to be. Until next time, happy gardening.